At first glance, Lupiro looks like it's straight out of 2003 and even has the chiptune soundtrack to go with it. The game sold over 500,000 copies in less than a week after it was released, and it seems to only be getting more popular on Steam as the days go by. So what is Lupiro? Is it worth your time? And is it really worth your cold hard cash? Lupiro is a passive roguelike RPG developed by Four Quarters team that offers a really interesting take on the genre. You play as a nameless hero who lives in a world where reality is kind of a forgotten wasteland, and you're trapped in a time loop and it's up to you to rebuild the world and recover your memories. You're a little stick figure guy who's weaponless, armorless, and pretty much useless, and you're placed on a procedurally generated map known as a loop. Starting from your campfire, you'll have the choice to toggle between two game modes. The adventure mode, where your character will passively move through the loop and fight enemies it comes across, and the planning mode, where the game pauses and you'll equip your character with weapons and armor you receive from battle. Even in adventure mode, you're not going to have any control over your character's movements, nor can you make a direct moment-to-moment impact on combat. Think of yourself as the dungeon master of Lupiro. You're gonna build out your set and change the world's rules to use to your advantage, but you won't actually execute any of the roles. The way you change those rules are through cards you'll collect after battling enemies. These cards range from anything from passive HP buffs by placing rocks and mountains and meadows, to introducing new types of enemies through environmental cards such as groves, cemeteries, and vampire mansions that are placed directly on the loop or adjacent to it. Don't let these cards turn you off. They're actually really simple to use, and once you learn their purposes and synergies, they become a really brilliant strategic tool that, if used wisely, can be the difference between living and becoming vampire food. After conquering your first loop, you'll want to continue past the campfire, which resets your loop and levels up the enemies and effectiveness of the equipment and the cards that they drop. The gear will not only get stronger, but you'll also receive character buffs such as an increase in evasiveness, a chance to hit multiple enemies at a time, and even the opportunity to regenerate HP or drain health from enemies. And that's just a few examples of the passive buffs. There really are a ton of options here, allowing for so many different types of playstyles. The game really encourages a trial and error mentality so that you can just figure out what works best for you. This core gameplay loop, no pun intended, is unbelievably addictive. I mean, might ruin your life, your relationship, get fired from your job addictive. Because after running several loops where you battle creatures and create new landscapes, you'll notice that you've begun to accumulate quite a few resources. These resources are absolutely essential to progression in Lupiro, and they're the only items that you'll be able to take back to your base should you choose to return there. You'll need them to unlock different buildings in your base, which give you permanent upgrades and introduce new game mechanics. For example, once you have enough resources, you can buy the smithy, which allows you to start the loop with weapons and armor, or you can unlock the herbalist, which gives you health potions, all making your character, who was once quite useless, slightly less useless. The systems here are really, really deep, and can fundamentally change the way you approach your loops while raising the stakes, because if you die, you lose pretty much all of your resources, making a premature high-level loop run a fool's errand. On top of the insanely addictive gameplay and the inevitable dozens of hours you'll sink into this game, Lupiro has a badass soundtrack composed by Blinch, and it's kind of a post-apocalyptic chiptune anthem. I mean, just listen to this. These songs will be engraved in your head hours upon hours after putting the game down. The world design is equally as immersive, reflecting the dark and brooding undertones of the game, and the characters are weird and well developed, and I was always glad when a new one showed up at my camp. Lupiro is an incredible game, but that doesn't mean it's for everyone. If you're more of a high-action FPS fan, you might have a tough time finding value here, But if you're into strategic games with brilliant gameplay or looking to try something a little different, I think this game will surprise you. You'll spend at least 40 hours getting through the game, but the replayability of it could add up to hundreds of hours of gameplay, and for the $14.99 price point and low system requirements, if this looks appealing to you, the barriers of entry are almost non-existent. Have you played Lupiro? If so, leave a like, and if not, leave a comment below and tell me what's stopping you from giving it a go. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this moving forward. My name's Granger with VENN, and I'll see you next time.